Well, I think I'm live. Not yet. There we go. Hey, I think I'm live right now. Cool. I better turn my volume down. Um. Okay, I'm gonna share this real quick before I get going. Just bear with me for a second. See if this populates over here. And there it is. I'm just going to pop that and share it on my page. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to come back over here and let's see. Bear with me for just a second. I'm just kind of getting a few things ready here if you're just joining. And I will start painting in just a sec. There we go. Okay. Hey, if you're watching this, can you tell me if you can hear me, if you can hear my audio? Just want to see if it is going to work or not. Thank you, Cam. Hey, can you guys hear me? Oh, okay, great. Okay, awesome. It's weird. I'm trying out this software and it won't let you. Well, if in order to see yourself or hear yourself, there's like an 8-second delay, and so I'm trying to ignore seeing myself like doing things 8 seconds later, and I certainly don't want to hear myself doing things 8 seconds later. So okay, so basically, thanks for letting me know that it's working. If anybody is interested, this software that I'm using is called OBS. It's free. You can download it from the OBS website, and I figure like people are going to ask because you can't do this kind of a live stream on your personal page. Unfortunately, you have to do it on like a business page. But the thing is open source, so it's really cool that they allow you to use this software where you can actually do a screen capture, because using my webcam was so bad. So I'm just going to jump into this, and what I'm basically going to do tonight is kind of just get this painting started. I won't be able to finish it, but I'll kind of share my beginning process and what I'm thinking, and I'll share the color comp that I already did, and I'll share the color scheme that I'm going with, and I'll try to look up and answer questions from time to time if there are any questions. And so I'm just gonna kind of get going. So the first thing that I'll do is just kind of share that I'm using. I found this image on Pinterest, and I wanted to give credit, but it was like pinned from someone and pinned from someone else and pinned from someone else, and I traced it back to someone in South America, and but I don't think they're the actual artist. So anyway, I'm going to use this color scheme. This is a good way to kind of work, and this is a kind of a color comp that I did. So this is kind of the scheme. I want the red kind of scarf on the mouse to be the focal point, and in having this kind of reminder next to me, it'll help me not like stray and go off course. So I'm just going to go until I feel like, if people are still interested, I'll go longer. I'm thinking like an hour or so, but I've heard that that Facebook won't let you go much more than an hour, but it's sketchy. It's like it keeps changing, so I don't really know. So if it shuts off, it's just going to kind of shut off, and I I apologize, but so Nicholas is asking about cross hatching and do I do it for reminders? Yeah, so I basically just like to get a little texture in there and get some reminders, and get that good scheme going on. And so that's basically where I'm going to go now. So I'm just going to start to kind of paint, and I hope this doesn't get too boring, because I mean, I could see it getting kind of boring because it's like watching paint dry, right? So, and while I do this, also, I kind of wanted to talk about SVS just a little bit. Since I am on the SVS website, there is kind of a little bit more to this. There's kind of an announcement that I wanted to kind of sneak in here as well, and that is that we're going to be raising our prices, but we are also going to be grandfathering people in at their current subscription levels. And so that was something we wanted to kind of find a way to make that announcement, to get the word out. It's hard to get the word out these days because there's people's attention are just all over the place. And so doing something like this is hopefully helpful, and also allows us to let people know that we have a lot of big plans. We want to hire more teachers, so we want to generate more money for that. We also want to make sure that we're providing a really good value. I appreciate the comment somebody said, Christiane, that she's taken our classes, and we love doing SVS. We're having a blast with it. It's a really fun project, but we also want to make sure we reward the people who have basically been there with us in the beginning and trusted us and gambled on us, and forgiven us for some of the mistakes we've made along the way, things like that. And so if you're just joining in right now, I don't even know how many people are watching. It doesn't really say. I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of people. Wow. Okay. If you're joining late, just making the announcement as I paint along here, and I'll answer questions about the painting that, and I'm just putting in values right now, that we're going to raise our prices on our subscription to $30 a month, but we're going to keep everybody's subscription price where it is that's subscribed, and that price increase is going to go up in September. And so there's definitely time, but we really wanted to give people a heads up, because once the price goes up, it's just going to be up there. And so anybody that's in before that date will get the grandfathered rate for as long as they stay subscribed. Okay, so enough of that. Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, I will be happy to try to look up and answer the ones that I can, as long as I can kind of keep painting, because I think it would get boring if I just sat here and answered questions the whole time. But anyway, I love doing little images like this. I don't know, there's something about doing nature pieces that I just love, like natural lighting, trying to mimic natural lighting situations. What about annual rates? So the annual rate's going to go up too, and it'll be in proportion. So if you're subscribed annually, you'll always be able to be grandfathered in at that annual rate price. So don't worry, and we'll always work with you. Like if there was some kind of a billing snafu or something, if you're on that early rate, you'll stay there. We don't want to hurt the ones that basically helped us get started. So we're definitely looking to help those that helped us. Oh, cool. I'm looking at new news comment there. Thank you. And nope, you're not too late, Jocelyn. We're just getting started here. I'm just sharing like a little color comp over here on the left, and a color scheme that I'm stealing from some amazing artist. If anybody knows who the artist is on this, you can put him in the chat, or her. I don't know. I looked for him. I found it on Pinterest. It was pinned and then it was repinned and shared by someone else, and I'm not really sure if because it went into Spanish, and I'm not really sure what the name of the person was that did it. But I just love that color scheme. And this is what I'm talking about right here. And so what I'm going to basically be doing with this is I'm just going to be pulling out colors. And let me just pull that up. Let's go on this layer here and just pull out these colors. Oh, I'm still selected. Oops. There we go. So we got that color. We've got this lighter color. We've got a little bit even lighter color. And then we've got these different shades. We've got this yellow here, this kind of whitish yellow. And then we've got these blues down here. Whoops. And then we got the reds for accent. And so that's what I'm basically going to be using right there, to try to make this work. And I'm going to try to get some dappled light going on in here, and some light streams coming through, but I really want to make sure that the main light hits my little mouse. And I only spent probably 10 or 15 minutes on this last night, just kind of throwing in color. And I do this just as a reminder so it doesn't get away from me. One thing that I've learned over the years is, there's nothing wrong with free painting and just kind of experimenting as you go. But when you do that, you have to be prepared for the fact that things just might not work out. And I think that's actually a really good thing, to have things not work out. I think it's a good thing to have a situation where it kind of falls apart on itself sometimes, because that's when you're going to do happy accidents, and that's when really cool things, and you'll learn stuff that you haven't learned before. But at the same time, if you really want something to kind of turn out, it's also good to kind of try this method. I don't know. It's good to do a lot of different methods, but this is definitely one that works for me. Is to kind of know where you're trying to get to before you get there. Kind of like a trip, right? And thanks for all the great comments, you guys. So the Angelo is asking what that bottom image is, and that's just my color sketch, my color comp, just like a 15-minute. It's going to look totally different than that, but I think when I'm finished, you should see some similarities. It should mimic what the final is going to look like. So, but right now, I'm just kind of going through this thing and really trying to hit. Let's see. Got my flow down too far there. I want to separate this off the background. Another thing I might mention too is that a lot of people, when they watch me paint digitally, especially the ones who know a lot about Photoshop and know a lot of the tools and the tricks and the controls that you have, will look at my process and say, it's really inefficient. And they're right. It is efficient, but intentionally inefficient, because I'm really trying to paint like I would if I were working traditionally. If this were actual paint, and I could actually paint, exactly like I am now, this is what I would be doing. And I like the overpainting, the fixing of edges, the ruining of edges, the fixing of edges again, the ruining of edges. And I find that when you use a lot of the tools in Photoshop, like you take someone like, there's one of my favorite digital painters out there is Mike Baer, and I hope he hears me say this, because every time I see him at CTN, I have to buy like another print from him, but because I just love his work. His work is intentionally digital. It looks digital, and it works. and I love all different styles, but I'm not going for that style. I'm trying to keep my style consistent. If I were to like go style hunting and pick another style, I might just steal Mike Bear's style. In that case, everything I'm saying would change, and I would use a lot more of the tools that you can find in Photoshop. But because um, because I'm trying to do more of a traditional feel and look to it, I don't use those tools. I know it's like a long-winded way of saying that. So Kathy's asking, did I do other color comps? No, I really just kind of settled. I went hunting on Pinterest, and I found this color, this illustration, and I looked at it and I thought, that could work because you've got things in shadow, and you've got light coming kind of from the top down, and you've got partial light, like half light. I call it half light, and you've got dappled light a little bit. I'm going to do more dappled light, which is the light kind of streaming through the trees. The thing I like about doing that is that you can really put light wherever you want, and you don't have to make an excuse for it. You don't have to explain it. It just is. You can't, because the holes in the trees are off camera. No one can say, well, that piece of light is wrong. That piece of light couldn't possibly happen, because trees are organic, and the holes in the trees are organic, and so you can basically just play creator and do whatever you want, and I love that situation. To me, it's harder when you have like a clear sky and you have like sun coming down. Then I look for other things to cast shadows and stuff to make it more interesting. But hopefully you'll see through this that, I mean, like looking at this piece, the reason that this, like you pull this color out by itself and there's nothing special about that, right? And then you pull out this color and by itself there's nothing special about that. But when you see them together and you see a beam of light kind of lighting half of it and not the other, and then you see little shadows on the ribs of that sail or whatever that is, all of a sudden it starts to look luminous. And that's the thing that I really like to try to recreate in my paintings. And so that's what I'm going to be looking to do in this one. Hopefully, I'll have enough judgment not to overcook it and not to go too far. Whoops. So yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good day. Yeah, I'm working on the equipment that I'm working on is just basically a Windows machine, and it's a pretty, I wouldn't say it's high end, but it's definitely high medium range. I've got I think it's got 32 gigs of RAM, but the biggest thing is it's got the SSD drive, and it wasn't that expensive because I had a friend build it up. I paid him $200 to build it up for me, and even with paying him $200, it only cost me about $1,400, which is, to some people, is a lot of money, and I know that it's a lot of money, but compared to what you could put into a computer, it's also like if you went to Costco or Best Buy or something like that, you'd have a hard time getting a computer this fast for anywhere near that amount. If you went and tried to, well, first off, you probably wouldn't be able to find it, because it's the components are high end, even though it didn't cost that much because we just ordered the parts from Egghead. So I know if you're like a Mac person, this is probably really boring, but and then I'm on a Wacom Cintiq monitor right now, so I'm just like looking down on my monitor, and it's just right down here. I'm just going to take this and show you. There it is right there. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm looking at myself do that 8 seconds later. That's so weird. So hey, thanks Brandon, and thanks Charlie. It's kind of fun doing these Facebook Live things. And when I tried one for a test earlier this month, it was really disappointing. I think I did a test one like like the first of the month, and I used my webcam, and it was just so disappointing, the quality, aiming my webcam down at the screen. And I knew that wasn't a good solution, but I didn't think there was a way to do a Facebook Live and do a screencast. And then I just decided to Google it on the chance that someone had figured out a way to do it. And sure enough, Facebook had made the they made the Facebook Live app open source, and so third-party companies could come in and make software that will allow you to access your webcam. Unfortunately, you cannot do it on a personal page. You have to do it on a business page. Otherwise, I'd be doing it on my personal page right now, because I think it'd be neat to have it sent out to more of my friends and family and stuff like that. But whatever, I'm doing it on the Society of Visual Storytelling. I don't even know my own company's name. We're doing it on our Facebook here. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time, so I don't know why I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time. But hey, thanks, Cam. I feel bad that I haven't made a YouTube video in like a month, but I'm going to make one this weekend. I just don't like making one without like having something real to talk about. And I've had good things to talk about. I just haven't had time to really flesh them out. I don't like the idea of doing them quickly and haphazardly without really making a list of things to talk about and looking up stuff. And so I'm going to zoom out on this and just see what it's looking like. And sometimes I'll just, turn off this layer. So that's what I've done so far. I think Noah's asking like, how long have I been sketching? I don't know if you mean sketching on this or for life, but I mean, I've been sketching my entire life. But on this, I think we've been going for about 20 minutes. And so I'm just trying to get the values in there. One thing that I will do on this is I will keep my value layer all by itself, so like separate it out. I used to flatten to it, but now I find that sometimes I want to go back in and add value underneath the paint. And so it's not the end of the world if I flatten and just work really direct, because I can do that. It's just that sometimes I want the option to be able to go in and add underneath. And I'll usually keep my color multiply layer. I'll try to preserve that too. Sometimes, though, I find that I want to... Thanks, Ken. It's probably getting late back there. It didn't freeze for you. My favorite genre to sketch. Oh, boy. I mean, I love all kinds of things to work on, and so I don't think I have a favorite genre, but I do. If there was one, I like doing kind of naturey kind of scenes like this. I just really like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to just go ahead and move on now, and go ahead and lock this layer down, and then start putting some color in. So, like I said, I mean, like I could pick out of. I'm just going to make that a multiply layer, and I could pick out of these colors that I pulled off to the side, or I could just pick right out of the guy, this person's painting. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and start to lay some of these colors in there. I'm just going to grab this blue right here and just start to kind of lay that in there. And it's, if you're trying to learn, the biggest thing I can suggest if you're trying to learn to digital paint is just to know that you're looking for a process that you can repeat, the steps, and you're also looking to simplify those steps down to as basic and as simple as you can possibly get them. Um, and once you do that and you come up with results that you are really happy with and that other people tend to respond to, then I think you'll get to a point where you're feeling like you can recreate it, because it doesn't do you any good if you create a process that you can't reproduce, right? So one of the things that this painting that I'm picking out of does really well is it really separates local values into just generalized values in the background. Like I could take some of these colors here, and everything in the background is just cooler than that red. That red is the warmest thing. I must have misspelled. I'm getting a text that I don't know what a love event is, but I don't want any part of it. I must have misspelled it on one of the things that I blasted out on social media. Oops. So Mary's asking, what is the story of the sketch? There really isn't one, other than it's basically whatever you think it is. I just kind of imagine this little mouse that's kind of gone through the forest and is this is the story that I attribute to it, is that she's gone through the forest and she's kind of I think they call them, don't they call them gleaners or something like that? Something where people in the past used to go and collect things and then try to sell them at market or something. So that's what I'm thinking she's doing. She's finding forest litter or things in the forest, things that have been discarded by other animals or plants or whatever, and she's going to take them to market and see if she can get something to barter out of it or something like that. That's kind of the basic idea. Did you guys get that out of it? Or are you seeing? Somebody said they saw a frog. They thought that the little mouse was a frog the other day. You're welcome, you guys. Yeah, gleaners. That's what I thought. I just something I recalled from high school. So anyway, I don't know if you guys were getting that out of it, but that's kind of the idea that I had. So I'm just throwing color in here. Maybe I'll throw some of these yellows. I try not to go too dark at first, or I'm sorry, too light, because I'm going to get lighter later on. But I'm just going to kind of get some of those colors working in back there, and then let's throw in some of these bluer colors back in here. And I appreciate all the comments. I know I can't get to all of them. If you're joining late, I do want to mention that one of the purposes of doing this, that yes, is self-serving and is a kind of a crass commercial message, is that at SVS we wanted to kind of get the word out that we're going to be raising our prices on our subscription. But if you're already subscribed, then you will be grandfathered in for life at the current rate. It's going to double in price. But again, if you're already subscribed, up until sometime in September is when it's going to go up. I'm not exactly sure what date, but that will be announced later on in the future. So, and we're actually going to also have a tiered pricing structure. So we're going to offer other options for more expensive and for less expensive. So it'll give people kind of a chance to kind of pick the level they want to be at. I think that's kind of a popular way of doing it these days with subscription pricing. But we really want to thank all the people that kind of were there from us early on, that gambled with us, and that that put up with a lot of the mistakes that we've made, and we're still going to make more mistakes, but in the beginning we just didn't have that much to offer, and as we go, I think we gain a little bit more and more, and so We want to have more money to offer teachers. Sometimes it's hard to get the teachers that we want. They're busy, and we need to be able to pay them more so that we can get them to say yes. We'll teach with you, teach for you, teach alongside you, and so that's part of the reason for that as well. Yeah, Angelo, I know, that's awesome. He was there and took our first course. I appreciate all of you guys, for everything. We wouldn't be able to do what we do, and we have so much fun doing it. I love working with Lee White and Jake Parker on this project called svslearn.com, and it's been a great ride, and we're hoping that we can just keep doing it because it's so much fun, and we have high hopes and big dreams and the things that we want to do that we can't do right now. We're talking about moving into an office and sharing office space together so that we can work literally next to each other, and be able to get our own freelance done, and so to kind of have a studio environment, and hire some other people that can manage some of the things that we're not good at. There's definitely things that we're not good at doing that someone else would be much better at doing. Yep, thanks, Charlie. I just recognize all of you guys and can't thank you enough. Our classes aren't some of them are more advanced than others. Some of them are quite basic, and we usually take beginners into account. The only time that it's not for beginners is when we say, this is an advanced class. So if it doesn't say that on the actual class, then I think you're good to go. We've had a few minors, in the 16, 17, 18-year-old range take it and do fine with some of our classes. So the principles are the same principles, and I think that one of the things is almost for everybody, the first time you hear an art principle, you kind of don't understand it, but you kind of have to hear it early on, and then over time it starts to make sense more and more. And so I just feel like like it really depends on the student. If you're wondering, is it right for you or not, it really depends on how serious the person is, because I think you can get things out of it. Like I've taken, when I was in school, I took the same class more than once, and I learned things the second time around, and we hear that with our classes all the time, that people are saying, well, I didn't really understand what you were saying, but it sort of made sense, and then over time it made more and more sense, and then now I really understand what you're saying. Okay, so on this, I've kind of laid in those colors. Now what I'll start to do is pick other colors here, and I wanted to also let you guys know that I have a class coming out at the end of the month on SVS called Choosing. I can see if I can remember the name of the course. Choosing Colors for Storytelling, and it's basically on how do you get to pick these different colors. Now this is one way of doing it right here, where I'm starting with a color scheme in mind, and the light is basically going to tell me what the different colors are. But I can tell you one conscious decision that I'm going to be making on this one is this mushroom up here I'm calling it the problem mushroom. The problem is, everyone knows, I don't know what the name of these mushrooms is, somebody probably does. That mushroom's supposed to be red, right? Like this. And if that mushroom is red, what's going to happen to my focal point? It is going to be competing. So guess what? We're taking artistic liberty, and that mushroom is going to be purple, because in this world that mushroom is purple. And that kind of thing can happen to where you're kind of stuck. And I've had problems like that when I've worked with art directors, and I've sometimes we've been successful in changing the color. Sometimes we've had to remove an object because it's going to create a focal point if it has to be a certain color. Um, and so, yeah, so sometimes you have to just kind of take artistic license, and that's what. So right now I'm kind of locking in these local values. These are strawberries. Again, that's another thing that's going to take over. So the way I'll probably solve that is I'll put them in shadow so that they'll be red. You'll be able to tell they're red, but they just won't be. They're not going to have this bright color that she's going to have on her bonnet or her head scarf or whatever. So we'll separate it out that way. Oh, hey Sue, I didn't realize you were in London. Wow, maybe I did know that, but thanks for tuning in, and yeah, cool. So yeah, wow, there's like a lot of views on Facebook. That's crazy. I'm just looking at it right now. Okay, I don't get distracted. Squirrel. Okay, so it's going to stay rather muted for now. I mean, I could rush this and kind of show you where I'm going, but you can already kind of see, I think, where I'm trying to get to. So I'm just kind of going around picking out colors, and then the next phase I'll start to kind of put in some opaque colors in the background and really try to start setting things. And I'll also try to let me get just like a regular layer now. One thing that I definitely want to do on this is I really want there to be this separation between the background. I really want these trees to get washed out back here, kind of like this. And so Jake is saying he's not sharing my love event. I typed that without my glasses because I couldn't find my glasses for a second, and so I just kind of typed in the announcement for this live event, and apparently I typed in love event, and Jake and Lee are kind of grossed out by it. So hey Jeannie, I'm from Maryland. Are you from Maryland? Cool. And I don't work traditionally anymore, simply because why don't I work traditionally anymore? Because digital is too fast. I have told a lot of people this, that one of my dreams is to be able to afford the time to go out and do some plein air painting, because I just love playing with shadows and colors and light. But I don't. Oh, Bethesda. I'm from Beltsville, so just like right around the corner. And so I do want to paint traditionally. I love painting. I love messing with oil paints. I don't know what I'm doing with oil paint, but I love playing around with them and would love to get a lot better and be able to do that. But for right now, I just don't feel like I have the time. So I don't like, I'm weird. I don't like spending time on things that I don't feel like I can have the time to really do well. And it's not because I'm afraid to fail. It's that I know I'm going to fail, and I know I'm going to get intrigued, and I know I'm going to get excited and want to do more, but I'll run into the fact that I just don't have time for it. So I've put that on my bucket list kind of thing, is make time to hike out, because I love hiking out in the wilderness. Make time to hike out there and set up an easel and start painting. I mean, I could be doing it now, but I use my time to actually get the exercise. So this would definitely take a lot more time to hike out, get the exercise, spend a few hours painting, and then coming back. So just gonna start working these up a little bit. I'll zoom out and just see what's going on. It really does take a long time to paint one of these things, and I haven't even hit the texture yet because I'm just trying to get values in there. And I'll work around the painting because I'm really trying to create the feel of it, right? And so it just is, it's slow process, but I really want this one to turn out, so I want to make sure that I'm not too heavy on the paint, so I can still see my drawing underneath. And that's one of the things I love about working this way is, if you do get too heavy and you're being really systematic, then I can go in there and I can turn down this layer's opacity, and I can keep some of that paint, but I can discard some of it and flatten to another layer or something like that. But this relationship between the middle ground cart that this little mouse has and those trees has got to be just so stark in contrast, just like in this image, or else it won't work, right? So that's what I'm trying to create right now, and also trying to get the right colors in there. So these trees kind of in here, maybe I'll grab that color. I don't want all the trees to be the same darkness or color. See, like that got really dark right there. How do you stop your image from looking muddy? That's a good question. Mud is good, but muddy is bad, and you have to have some mud. If you don't have mud, you're going to have a neon painting, a purely saturated kind of painting going on. And so you have to have some degree of mud, right? But I think what you're asking is how much, and I think that the thing that will work, like, so for instance, like right now, all of these colors that I have in here are mud right now. Like if I just show you what I have, right? Like if I pick out all these colors, they're all mud. I mean, there's nothing. Look at that gray. There's a purple right there. And the thing that makes it not mud is when you put something like that on top of it, and then all of a sudden it starts to look bright. And you do that in your focal point area. That's the best answer I think I can come up with, is that you need the mud to reinforce and highlight the saturated colors. So does that help, Tamisha? And thanks a lot for the great comments, you guys. This is really fun to do this. You can see right here I got really heavy on the paint on this little, we call these gumdrops, when I grew up in Maryland, these fell out of, was it the sycamore tree? No, that's kookaburra. I don't know what kind of tree that is that drops these things. I don't think it's an oak tree. I'm not a botanist, so I don't know. I'm giving myself a pass on that. So just there's a lot of comments coming in, and I think because people have shared this, there's comments coming in from other places too that are popping in, because I've got a bunch of windows open. It's interesting, this software, you have to you can't look at the comments on the Facebook live stream. You have to open up another window and look at comments, and they kind of populate in there that way. But then on another window, I'll see where they're coming from my other page, and I can't get to them all. So oak trees. Oh, so they are from the oak trees. Okay. Well, they're really fun if you're walking barefoot and you're camping. If you step on one of those, not life-threatening at all, but they wake you up. But I always love the shape of those. So put one of those in here. If you're joining late, someone already asked. I think it was Mary asked what the story is on this, and I just think it's like a mouse who goes through the forest looking for or gleaning for little treasures, little things that either were discarded by animals or discarded by people, and then or not people, animals or plants, yeah, and then takes them to market to sell them. Is kind of the idea that I had. So just kind of popping that in there. I need a color for back here, kind of in this range right here. Probably cool but lighter. Maybe, oh, I need to be on my something like in that range maybe. So anyway, now that I'm at this point, well, let me put in a few more colors here. You know, and sometimes I'll get too literal, like, you know, this is a walnut. It is brown. But under these lighting conditions, you know, it's not going to be that brown. But right now, I'll just kind of lock it in there. And then, you know, same with this pine cone. I'll just kind of lock in a little bit more rich brown color. And then I can change that later on. I can put the light over it later on. So this mushroom, for lack of a better color, because there's some purple up here, maybe that'll go back to green again. This acorn, there's a bone, just a little, maybe it's like a bone from some mammal or something. I don't know what that is. And then there's going to be like green on these strawberries. The little, I don't know what you call that, the little green stuff that comes off the stem. I know there's got to be a name for that. And then let's go back to some brown again and just put a little brown on these wheels. I'm thinking this is like a turtle shell that she found. And we'll need some red for these strawberries out here. But not too red. That's too red. Too light. We need a darker red. Probably still not dark enough. No, still not dark enough. Well, it's really deceiving sometimes when you get into these picking colors down here and you realize like that's still red, but it looks black. But then when you paint it on here, it actually will work. The colors that trick my mind. I thought she was a hoarder. Yeah, she's probably got some hoarder in her too. It's a gumball tree. So what kind of tree is that? So anyway, yeah, leaves. Okay, and then we got this mushroom over here. I got kind of heavy with this underpainting, so this is why I like to keep those layers separate, is I can just go in and pull that off a little bit. Erasing paint is a neat thing that you cannot do traditionally. That's another reason. But it just means like when you're painting traditionally, you just have to be a little more careful. You just can't work as fast. And okay, so now I could start to maybe finish. I don't know how long this thing is going to allow me to last. Yeah, Lee. Yeah. So is Lee on right now? That's a good question. You guys should ask him. Charlie, is he going to move out here to Utah? Inquiring minds would like to know that, the answer to that question. I don't know if he's on right now, but you guys should definitely ask him. Hey, are you moving to Utah? Okay, so now I'm gonna get some texture on my brush, and because now that I've kind of laid in those colors, I can start to finish some of this stuff up just a little bit, just to give you an idea. But again, as I start to work the light on this, it's going to change. So I'm really looking mostly at value. Oh, he is on. so isn't he staying put a year before the big move? He's actually moved to. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, to Kentucky to be with his mom. His family moved out there for the summer, and so he's helping take care of his mom. So I think that's cool. So yeah. So now, let's see. I got a new layer here. I got my texture on. sometimes I'll do a little test just to see how much texture I have going on. I don't have much at all. Nashville. Did I say Kentucky? He's texting me. You know, you can comment on the feed there, Lee. So I'll turn up the scale a little bit there. Now I can see the texture, but in the scheme of the painting, I still think it's pretty weak. So I'll go look at it again. Whoops. And just tune it up just a little bit more. I think that's better. He wishes he could say stuff. So this is really cool that I have the microphone and Lee doesn't right now, and it's bugging him, and that's okay, because it's good to be able to not always get what you want. we have a good time in our meetings. We have a lot of fun, and I think that's what makes it so much fun working on this SVS project. Is I get to work alongside of some really cool guys, and I think we all also have this feeling of like we also have this feeling of, can we live up to each other's expectations? Because you know, they're, especially for, I can speak for myself, I'm with two really high caliber guys, and I often wonder, am I pulling my own weight, you know? So and I think that's a really healthy thing when you're working on something like this, is to feel a little off balance sometimes, like, you know, maybe I need to do more. So anyway, cool stuff. It's just been a real blast. It's the thing that I've enjoyed probably the most is being able to kind of craft a life that allows me. He keeps texting. I'm gonna turn my phone off. I like being able to craft a life that isn't necessarily beholden to any one thing. When I you realize you're interrupting me right now, right? I like being able to work on different projects, and I used to, back in the day, I used to have to take I felt like I had to take every freelance job that came along, and now I'm in a position where I can turn them down if they're not right for me. I'm going to turn that up just a little bit more. I've got this. So Noah's asking where I went. I went to school at BYU. Hey, thanks, Charlie. Yeah, I usually work with my flow and opacity layers lower. I just feel like I add too much paint if I don't. Like I'm just too heavy-handed on the stylus. So I'm going to tell you my game plan in case we get cut off. I've heard rumors that Facebook Live won't let you go much more than an hour. I don't know if that's true or not. So what my game plan is on this is to kind of render everything as though there was a soft ambient light coming from overhead, and then once I get all those values in, and they're you know, basically light side, dark side with value and color all in the right place, that's when I start to add the dappled light on top of it, and that way I'll be able to have a color that goes into the, you know, that's in shadow, that then goes into the light and then back to shadow again, and then that color and that value will be right on both sides of the object, and then you put that chunk of light on top of it. And I find that works best is to layer it up rather than to just try to paint that light in as I'm trying to do this. So process wise, I'm really trying to compartmentalize at this point, and that's one reason why this takes such a long time, and one reason why I won't be able to just like finish it in an hour. This, in all honesty, this painting is going to probably take another 20 hours or so, maybe even 30 hours to finish. But at least I can kind of show you my beginning process, and I have the whole process at svslearn.com in my 10-step digital painting class, where I've broken down those different steps. So if you're joining us late, another reason that I wanted to do this live broadcast was to announce that we are going to be raising our prices at SVS on the subscription. It's going to double from $15 to $30 a month, but we're going to grandfather in people at the current rate up through September. So I don't know exactly what date it is in September, but we'll be announcing that in the future. And so if you're already a subscriber, nothing's going to change for you. Every time we add new content, you're just going to get it. We are going to have tiered pricing. We're going to offer different levels that you can come in with different perks, or maybe more of a stripped down version. And those prices will be announced later on. So there will be a tiered pricing structure, but the current level that people are at right now will actually stay the same. And as long as they stay subscribed. So, and that's our way of basically saying thank you to the people that really helped us get started. I've fallen into putting shadows down in here again, just because I'm seeing, like, as you work around your painting, you should start to reveal. It's like projects, things that need to be done. But that's because as you add light and as you start to visualize this, it starts to beg for things to be done in certain places. And so that's what I find myself doing right now, is just kind of going here. And I'll just add that on my current layer at this point. I won't go back and I don't think that needs to go in the multiply layer. I'll just start putting in this opaque layer right here. So, oh, there he is. So hopefully Lee will do one of these. You guys need to give him a hard time and make him do a Facebook Live like this, because he needs to work harder. I think. I feel like he should be stepping it up a little bit more. I love that he can't talk back. That's really cool. I think maybe we should hold our SVS meetings this way, where I just get to talk and tell him what I think, and then that way I'll be happy. I could get everything I want. Okay. Let's see. How about some cooler light coming from underneath over here? So I'll just kind of grab something maybe down in this range and just see what it looks like on this mushroom over here. This mushroom, because it's off to the side in this painting right here, because she's going to be the focal point over here, I probably don't want to, I just am not going to want to put something really bright over there right on the edge. So my dog is scratching at the door right now. She'll eventually come through the door, I'm thinking. Okay, so like right now, what I might do is just as I could get the color from here. Let's see how saturated this color is over here. So the color that were the brightest, most saturated color we're finding in this painting right here. And for those of you who are joining me late, I did like a color sketch down here based on this painting. We talked about that already. I think you will be able to go back and watch the first part of the video if you missed it. So yeah, I'm just going to grab that. Let's see if there's another color that I missed here. Is that the same color there? Yeah, that's basically it right there. So that's pretty cool. So I'll just use that and just kind of throw some of that in just to remind myself that that's where we're going. But I can toss that later on when I really want to render that up, and that'll help me see what's actually going on in here. Maybe I'll go for a darker blue down in here, maybe like one of these blues, and start to put that down in here. So like under the bridge, we're actually starting to see something more like that, and then maybe that comes out to a yellow. Maybe that's where the highlight kind of will end up hitting, something like that. So I'll just kind of throw that in there. That's a little heavy. Hey, thanks, David. Thanks, Jake. Yeah. So, but I really want the colors to kind of bounce around, and so like if I've got this color down here, that's probably what I'm going to use for like my reflected light under the bridge right here. I'll just grab that from there. And then these, one of the things somebody asked earlier, what do I love painting? I love painting rocks too. So like I'll just hit these with some of that reflected light coming up, like it's kind of glowing from under that bridge, you know. Maybe we'll actually see some more of that like under here. But again, it's a push and pull, and so I won't know if I'm going to be able to leave it like that until later on. Let's see, what else could I do right now? I can tell you that this area, one of the reasons why I'm just selecting from over here, but one of the reasons why I'm not going really bright yet is because once you go really bright, you can't really go anywhere from there. And so I really leave the highlights until the end, you know. So I'm just kind of teasing in some of these colors, but after a while, I'll end up going back through there and finishing that. Just trying to get the feel of the color scheme of that beautiful painting. And I guess what I'll do before we go, because I think I'll probably start to wrap this up since we've been going for an hour. Andrew, there is I show how to make my brushes on the 10-step digital painting at SVS. It's really pretty simple. But I'll just show you like how I'm going to put light on this. So let's say that let's say this egg right here is it's like a little robin egg or something, or some kind of bird egg. And so maybe it's going to have a local color that's kind of like this here. Let's see. So Lee's asking me if there's like an order to this painting. Yeah, there is, but I explained that in 10-step digital painting. Right now, I'm kind of bouncing around because there's so many things that I want to show. And so I showed like the multiply layers early on, the underpainting, and then but I'm not really doing a tutorial so much as I'm just kind of painting and talking. So yeah. So anyway, oh, thanks, Charlie. Jake designed that. So I'm just going to kind of throw some light on top of here just so you can see what I'm planning to do. Let's say that robin egg has got a little bit more blue in it. So maybe down in here we get a little more sense of that color coming through. Something like that. And then let's say I have a piece of light kind of streaming down on top of that. I'll pick basically the color and the quality of the light will be basically what we're already seeing out of these colors here. And so I can just kind of hit this, and this is going to be a really rudimentary way of doing this, but let's say I'm lighting this egg and only a piece of it gets hit by light, you know, something like that. Then I'll go in and erase the oversprayed areas like that, and then that could just be like a piece of light that kind of hits there. And then I might, because it's rounded, I'll tune my eraser brush and turn the opacity down and just barely erase the down part so that this upside portion is lighter. And then I'll play off of that color and go back into my picker and really brighten it up, right? Maybe move towards orange a little bit and kind of hit this right where that sunlight's going to be hitting right there, right along that, so that it's just this piece of light that kind of falls down there. Now that's really rough, and it's actually not really blending in that well right now. You know what, Charlie, we decided we're talking about doing this when we release a class, just to kind of introduce it. Like I talked about my new class, choosing colors for storytelling, that comes out at the end of this month, and so we'll probably do things like that. Let me do this pine cone over here. Let's say, so the pine cone has more of a brownish color, so I might play with putting some light like this across it. And this is probably too much light, but you know, I could do this basically the same thing of just pulling that light across there, and then using that eraser The eraser is such an amazing tool. And if you can't see it because it's overspraying over the sketch, I just turn it down, knowing I'm going to turn it up after the fact. So I'm going to turn my opacity up again, and erase this part off so I can see it right there. And then I'm going to turn it back up. You never want to forget to turn it back up, because if you end up flattening it, you're going to be locked into to that lower level. And then because it's rounded, because this is a soft eraser, all I have to do is just let Photoshop do the work for me. And then I'll go in and kind of erase around these little, I don't know what you call them on a pine cone. They're seeds. I don't know if they're seeds, because I know you eat pine nuts. Those are the seeds. I'm just gonna pontificate about pine cones on this live broadcast and show my ignorance on what I don't know about pine cones. I know they don't come from brown cows. So then the same thing. If I wanna, then maybe in the number shadow there, maybe there's a little bit of orange that kind of casts along there too, as it like fades out. And then on the leading edge of that, I'll just put reinforce that highlight a little bit in that area, just only in the areas where the sun's hitting, right? Just kind of like that. And then you can see that's kind of how you can put that dappled light in there. And if you don't like it, you've got it all on one layer. Let's say it's two pine cone nubbins. Let's say it's not harsh enough. Maybe it's not fading enough. We could turn the eraser up and just pull it tighter, so it's like more of a stream coming through. And if we need to erase a little bit off of there, a little bit more, we can do that too, just to kind of pump it up. And then there's always the color dodge tricks that I'll do at the end, where I'll saturate that even more and try to make it look like a little delicious piece of light, using the Photoshop tools. But maybe they're too bright. That's the thing, is that with all these hot spots, I've got the hot spot under the bridge, over here where the light's reflecting off the water. I'm definitely going to have a hot spot on her headscarf, and I'm definitely going to have some pieces of light hitting the cart. All of a sudden, it could become too much. So when you see this, when I finally finish this, I also have to realize that there are, personally for me, if I gave this sketch to, let's say, 10 other artists that are really good, they're going to do their own style. They're going to come up with something totally different. If I painted this 10 times, if I cared to paint it 10 times, if I could muster the enthusiasm to paint it as best I could 10 times, I could come up with 10 different versions of it, and some would be better than others, but they could all be different and have light in different places. And so I think when you're painting, you have to kind of realize that, moving through that a lot of it is decision making, and a lot of painting is decision making, it's judgment. And the earlier you are in your journey, your artistic journey, the worse your judgment is. And that's one thing that I've found that I've gotten better at over time, is that I've just gotten a little bit better judgment year after year. And I'll look at my old work and I'll go, I can't believe I made those decisions. And I remember I was at a lecture once with Gregory Manchez, and he was talking about one of his paintings, and he said, 10 years ago I couldn't have made this painting. And that stuck with me, because 10 years ago he was all over Society of Illustrators, getting in that competition, and he was in CA magazine constantly, and he was one of the best painters 10 years ago. And yeah, it's so it starts to become intuitive, is what Lee's saying. Yeah, so that's basically the gist. If you do something long enough, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, that's you see people do incredible things on a skateboard. It's just that they've been focused in that area. So whatever it is that you want to get good at, you can be world class at anything, I believe. If you care enough, if you love what you're doing enough to last decades of doing it, there's no question, if you've got the enthusiasm, you'll just get better and better. I used to think there was a lot more to talent, but I see people doing really, really well, that, like, students of mine in the past, that I just didn't think they were going to do very much, and then now they're doing incredible work, and it's like they just put their head down and started working. I think I'm going to end this now. Draw every day, because I feel like I've accomplished pretty much in showing you, like, where I'm going, but it's just like, from now it's just like a long road for me to finish this one, but I'll get it finished, and I'll post it, and hopefully you guys can that watch this will be able to also see that. And anyway, thanks a lot, you guys. It was fun. We hope to do more broadcasts like this from SVS. Make sure you challenge Lee and Jake to do some. Maybe we'll even get some of our teachers to do broadcasts like this. I think it's a great platform. And keep on rocking, guys. Thanks for all the comments, and thanks for watching. And I will check you later.